Good afternoon, 5:01 here at WDBO. You know what that means? It's time to get on the WDBO payroll payout right now. Open up that WDBO app, tap the payroll payout button inside, and enter the word BAND, B-A-N-D, BAND, right now for your chance at winning $1,000. Download that WDBO app to your phone. Tap the payroll payout button inside of the app and enter the word BAND, B-A-N-D, right now for your chance of getting on the WDBO payroll payout. Our top story, White House officials holding their daily press briefing this afternoon. NSC Coordinator for Strategic Communications, John Kirby, addressing the recent Israeli airstrike in the city of Rafah that took place over the weekend and reiterated the U.S. doesn't want to see a ground operation in the city.
We still don't want to see the Israelis, as we say, smash into Rafah with large units over large pieces of territory. We still believe that, and we haven't seen that at this point. But we're going to be watching this, of course, very, very closely.
The strike killed at least 35 people. Kirby adding Israel has the right to defend itself, but they need to take more measures to ensure no innocent Palestinians are killed. Well, fast food chains are launching a slew of deals for National Hamburger Day, though many Americans are wary about rising food prices. Fox's Kelly O'Grady.
If you're at Burger King today, you can get a free hamburger if you only purchase 70 cents worth of other products. If you're a Wendy's girl, you can actually get a junior bacon cheeseburger for just 1 cent if you order through the app. So pretty good for National Hamburger Day. But this is actually part of a broader push that some folks are calling the value wars. So why are these chains doing it? Well, they're offering the discounts because many are seeing slowing foot traffic due to higher prices. We saw chains like McDonald's lower their guidance for the full year, admit that they're struggling to retain that customer, that core customer for them that makes under $45,000 a year.
Fast food prices have exploded in recent years, with the cost of a Big Mac more than doubling since 2019. Remember to enter the word BAND, B-A-N-D, BAND, right now under the payroll payout button in the WDBO app for your chance of winning $1,000 right now. It's 5:03 here at WDBO.
It's pretty quiet tonight. Tomorrow morning, low to mid 70s. Tomorrow's hot, 96, a lot of sunshine. There is a very slight chance for a stray afternoon or evening storm, but most areas are dry. Sunday, 97, the heat index above 100. And again, a slight chance for a stray late afternoon or evening storm. Realize most people won't get the rain. If you do, it should come and go quickly. I do want you, though, if you're outdoors this weekend, just keep your eye to the sky in case you get one of these rogue lightning storms that develops. Shouldn't delay you too much, but you may have to go in and take take cover briefly. And then for Monday, Memorial Day, quiet in the morning, but hot all afternoon, near record heat 98, the heat index above 100. Again, take it easy if you're going to be out in the heat during any extended period of time, any afternoon over this holiday weekend. From Channel 9 Eyewitness News, I'm meteorologist George Waldenberger.
Now, from the Bogan Munz and Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz and Munz.
Looking pretty crowded right now through downtown. I-4 westbound starting around Parr to the 408 eastbound, and I-4 eastbound on and off the brakes from Cayley all the way to Lee. We've got a crash I-4 westbound before 429. It's got the right lane blocked. That's tying things up through there. And then as you're making your way into Volusia County, you've got a crash on I-4 westbound. This is actually making your way into Seminole County from Volusia. It's I-4 westbound right before Saxon Boulevard, and the left lane is blocked there. This report sponsored by ProTech, air conditioning and plumbing service. For honesty, integrity, and 100% customer satisfaction, call ProTech 407-502-6263 or visit protechac.com. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Local news, national news, even feel-good news, delivering the topics that are relevant to you.
That's why I listen to Joe. He covers it all.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
So I think I want to start the show with some of that feel-good news that we just mentioned right there. So I've got to make a personal announcement. I might surprise a few people with this. I want to make a personal announcement here at the start of the show. And in order to properly set this up, I've got to give you a couple of pieces of history. So today, May 28th, is my wedding anniversary to my sweet Ronnie Sue. Hey, baby, I love you. Happy anniversary. We got married 3 years ago today. We met 4 years ago today. So we got married to the day 1 year after we met. We met in an elevator. I love that we met in an elevator. Our eyes locked in the elevator, and the rest, as they say, is history. So we have been married for 3 years. We have known each other for 4 years. Well, I've got a big announcement. Ronnie and I are expecting a child. Now, we're both, as fate would have it, we're both 56 years old. She's actually like a month or so older than me. A few months older than me. I like those older women. And you might be thinking, well, how are 50-somethings expecting a child? We are expecting a 13-year-old. We're adopting a 13-year-old child. So my sweet Ronnie Sue has been a court-appointed special advocate in Florida for many, many, many years. And she met and has been the court-appointed special advocate for this young lady when she was like 3. So Ronnie has known her for a long time. In fact, of all of the people that have been in and out of her life, Ronnie has been the one consistent person that's been in her life. And at this point, you know how time goes by and you lose track of time and everything. So it was probably about, 6-8 weeks ago, Ronnie, just out of the blue, I just caught me off guard. She said, God has put it on my heart that we need to adopt this girl. Now, I can't tell you her name, and I almost did just there. I can't tell you her name because she is in the state foster care system, and there are certain protocols that you're allowed to or required to follow. And I'm just not allowed to tell you her name. And I really can't tell you anything more than she's a 13-year-old girl. I can tell you this. She has been in the last 11 years, she has had 43 different placements.
Holy cow, Joe.
43 homes in 11 years. Now, the first child that I had with my first wife was also adopted. And he, like this young lady, had a very difficult upbringing, a dreadful biological family, and was in foster care in perpetuity. And in spite of the state's best intentions, there aren't enough foster care caseworkers. The foster care, the caseworkers are way overworked. They have way too many children, and they're way underpaid. The level of stress and usually they're young and idealistic, and they're just coming out of college. And very quickly, the caseworkers become jaded. They realize that they're ruining their bodies and minds and hearts and souls by being caseworkers, and they're hearing about the worst of humanity and how they deal with children. I'm talking about, biological families, not the caseworkers. But a lot of caseworkers get out of it. And so there's a high rate of turnover for caseworkers. And so consequently, foster care is miserable. And the girl that we are going to adopt is in a group home now with some 24, 25 other girls, all of whom are unlikely to be adopted. Most of them will age out of the system without ever having been adopted. So when Ronnie said to me a few weeks back, God has put it on my heart to adopt this girl, my initial reaction, and for all intents and purposes, we're empty nesters. My youngest are the twins. They're 18. They live with their mom. So Ronnie and I are empty nesters. And when she said, God is putting it on my heart to adopt this girl, in my head, my initial reaction was no, this is a terrible idea. No. Why would we want to disrupt our lifestyle? Why, we are empty nesters. We're free to get up and go out of town for the weekend if we want to, or travel or see things or do things. Why would we want to have a child involved in that process? And this is where I laugh telling this story. I love this part of the story. So Ronnie says to me, well, Joe, pray about it and see if God puts it on your heart to adopt this girl. And I said, that is not fair. That is so unfair. How could you say that to me? Because if there is one thing that is abundantly clear in the Bible, is that we are supposed to take care of orphans and widows. Jesus could not have been more clear about that. Could not. So when and this girl is, for all intents and purposes, an orphan. And for Ronnie to say, because I said, there's no way that I'm going to pray, dear Father, should we adopt this girl? Yes or no? There's no way that God is going to say no. That's not fair for you to do that to me. And I did have, this wasn't just me thinking that. This was a conversation I actually had with Ronnie. I was like, that's just not fair. But it wasn't, I said it in the same tone that I just did on the radio. I didn't say it out of anger. I said it out of, I found that to be funny that she would say, pray about it. Like, what the answer is going to be. So instead of praying to God as to whether or not we should adopt this girl, I prayed that God would soften my heart. I prayed that God would help me make this transition from being empty nesters to being caregivers. And as you might imagine, a 13-year-old who has been in 43 homes in 11 years, 43 placements in 11 years, comes with baggage. They have experienced a lot of trauma. So any 13-year-old, whether the 13-year-old was raised in the greatest environment or the worst environment, any 13-year-old is going to be a struggle. I almost said a problem, but it's not a problem. It's a struggle. Just being 13, you think back to when you were 13. Life was a struggle when you were 13. And add to that the trauma that you experience and the lack of bonding that you have experienced. It's tough. It's tough for a 13-year-old. And I have no doubt, no, I'm not remotely confused at all about this. This is not going to be a cakewalk, and this is going to be a challenge. But I will tell you that in the weeks that I prayed about this, Within a week, I went back to Ronnie and I said, okay, I'm not going to say no to this. I'm not going to say no, and I'm feeling better about it. 2 weeks later, I came to her and said, okay, the answer is yes. I think we should do it. And within 3 weeks, I was like, when can we adopt her? I really want to do this. I'm very excited about this. And you guys might recall it. I had a long weekend trip a couple weekends ago. Well, that trip was basically to go ask her if she wanted to be our child. And she enthusiastically said yes. And we enthusiastically wrapped our arms around her and said, we can't wait. It is a state bureaucratic system. And with any state bureaucratic system, it's not easy and it's not fast. We think that we might have her in our home by the holidays, but we're not 100% certain, but that's about how long it'll take. I mean, it could be 6 months, could be longer. Because we have to go through state licensing for foster care. We have to go through state licensing for adoptive care. So there's a long process. I informed my other children, I don't want to say my real children, my other children. I informed them that I'm bringing a new sister into the family. They obviously won't see a whole lot of each other, just by virtue of my three existing. Well, I've got. It's very complicated because I've got a child through adoption, my first child, 3 biologicals, and so I've got adopted children as bookends in my child portfolio. My first and I don't even want to say my last, because honest to goodness, now my heart has been so opened to this adoption that I am not entirely sure. I would not guarantee that this will be my last child. And Ronnie feels the same way.
Foster adopt program? Or do you have to become foster parents first, but do they have a foster adopt, and like you foster the child with the intention of adopting the child so that the child gets placed in the home earlier than just on the adoption?
You still have to go through the training programs, and they don't run the training programs continuously. You know, we couldn't start tomorrow in a training program. So just by how the calendar falls for when the next training program is, because Ronnie has been a court-appointed special advocate since she was 3. 3 or 4 years old.
Okay.
You know, we would like to think that there's a fast track for that, but there just isn't. So
we did the same thing with our daughter. We adopted her at 14 or 15 months old from the state of New Mexico, and she's 24 now. So we've been through that process, and that's why I asked about the foster adopt. But I guess, yeah, you have the process of becoming a foster parent and being approved first.
Yeah. So we're very, very excited.
Congratulations, Joe.
We
That's
obviously
wonderful.
Thank you very much. And we obviously have to move.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, we can't live.
They won't allow the child in there even when you're 55.
No. There are no children allowed. I live in a 55 plus community just because it was the closest that we could find to my twins, Black and Decker. And so I could almost see my ex-wife's house from my apartment window. And so that was why we moved where we moved, not so much that we were looking forward to the 55 plus community. In fact, we have really since found that the 55 plus community is not for us. Certainly not for me. Because I really thought a lot of them would be the same age as us, like 55, 56. They're not. They're 85, 95. I mean, it's just, they I don't want to get into that, but no, we will have to move. And we still got to find a new place to live and everything like that. And then obviously we got to find a bigger place. I mean, we everything for us was downsizing. Is you know, can we just live in a studio? I mean, we don't even need a big place. And so now we're thinking maybe we need to buy something with land. Maybe we need to have a yard. Maybe we need to have because if we do adopt another child after this, I mean, maybe we need a bigger house.
Well, Ronnie Sue's history with this young lady for so long is such a blessing. That is awesome. I mean, I'm really excited for you. I could tell that
I am too.
you're up for this to open
I am
it
too.
up. And I think that's fantastic, Joe. I'm really happy.
I am too. I'm very, very excited about this. And we've been sitting on this secret forever, and I haven't really been able to tell anybody just because of the process, and it just takes so long. And even though, here's something, tell me if this is weird. So in the state of Florida, an adoptee does not get a say-so in whether or not they're adopted by a family. So because we were telling the state that we wanted to go meet with her and ask her if she wants to be a part of our family. And the state told us, you don't have to ask her. If you get to choose, she gets no say in the matter. And, if the child was an infant, I could understand that. But when a child is 13, I you know what that sounds like to me? If the child gets no say so in the matter, that sounds like child trafficking to me. I mean, that sounds terrible.
Well, you're starting things off immediately with saying you don't have a choice.
Right.
You're already starting that way. You did the right thing by going and asking her because she feels she had a decision, or part of this decision was hers. I think that's great.
Yeah. And she said the cutest reaction, and we're so excited. And we're going to go see her. I think it's this Saturday. I forget which, but we drive out. She's in a home that's nowhere near Central Florida. That's all I can say about that. It's nowhere near. It's in Florida, but Florida's a big state. It is nowhere near Central Florida. So we have a very long drive to go visit with her and spend some time with her, and then come back home all in the same day. So.
Well, congratulations.
So that's it. That's and Laurel, I think you're going to have your child before we have our child, right? Because you're due in October.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to have your child before our child, and then I'm sure my child is going to be in high school before your child.
Well, I've got a 16-year-old too. They can hang out.
That's true. That is true. All right, coming up next, all the stories that you missed while you're at work today. Stay with us.
Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Still seeing those delays out of the downtown area, or into the downtown area on I-4 westbound, starting just around Par all the way on to the 408. And then we have on the eastbound side of I-4 from Cayley, you're on and off the brakes all the way up to, well, it looks like now you're all the way up to past Altamont Springs. And then it picks up again to where you're heavy on the brakes between Lake Mary Boulevard and the bridge. And we have a reported crash there on the ramp to 1792. We also have a crash on I-4 westbound just past Saxon, and that's got traffic really backed up into Deltona and even further back. This report sponsored by Fresh from Florida. The best part of summer is already here. Locally grown Fresh from Florida watermelon. Fresh from Florida, there's sunshine in every bite. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
The NBA's Western Conference Finals continue tonight, with the Dallas Mavericks looking to sweep the Minnesota Timberwolves in Game 4 of their series. Last night, the Boston Celtics eliminated the Indiana Pacers in 4 games to advance to the NBA Finals. Over 1 million people are without power in Texas. Heavy storms are pounding the state today, leading to a ground stop at Houston's airport. Meanwhile, at least 23 people are dead after severe weather slammed the nation's midsection, including Texas, over the Memorial Day weekend. The countdown is on for the start of Florida's first disaster preparedness sales tax holiday of the year. Residents will be able to save on supplies like flashlights, portable generators, and pet food. Starting on Saturday, the sales tax holiday will run until June 14th. Terry, he said on air that they have to move. They can't bring a kiddo into the 55 up community, so they'll have to find a new place to live. But he also said that he won't probably get her until holidays. So they have some months to figure out a new living situation. I offered him some stuff too. I said, hey, my 15-year-old gives away clothes We are frustrated with our 15-year-old with how much she gives away clothes. We're like, "What do you have to wear? Do you have 3 pairs of pants and 2 shirts? Because you give away your whole closet, like, every weekend. What is going on?" Um, so I told him that if he needs clothes for her, let me know because my 15-year-old is she constantly has a bag outside of her door of clothes to donate. We're like, "Girlfriend, we love your generosity, but then you're gonna come to us and need new clothes, and we'll go to Walmart. I have nothing against Walmart clothes, but stop giving away every piece you own, lady." But I'm excited for Joe. Yeah, he's not doing the RV, Terry. He said a while ago he's not doing the RV either. They decided against that, so this is a new path for him, and that's exciting. So Joe will be relearning how to be a parent, like Marie said to a 13-year-old girl, God bless him. Now he's done it once. That he does have a daughter already who's 20 or 21, 20, I think. So he's not unfamiliar with teenage girls. But it's somebody who is as somebody who's in the thick of teenage girls right now. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. That's God bless him, particularly for a girl that has had a rough background. Bless them both for sure. Because that's rough. Teenage girls are rough. But she could be exactly what they need and vice versa. So that's exciting. Yeah, Marie, Claremont would be fun for them to come to. We sure have plenty of houses being built, don't we? But he'd have to commute as far as he commutes now, pretty much. He's in Hamlin right now. As you know, the commute's kind of yucky. Of course, he'd be coming in about the same time I do, and that's off hours. That's the one good thing. Well, there's multiple good things about this shift, but one of the things I love about this shift, I work like 11:30 to 7:30, is that I miss all of the rush hours. So that's that makes commuting from Claremont into downtown Orlando easy.
And I was just thinking the same thing, Laurel. I mean, I didn't even get here to do my job until 5 o'clock tonight because I was out. I had to be out. And I got stuck in traffic. I was the traffic guy stuck in traffic on I-4 trying to get. And so I kept thinking, thank goodness I have the shift that I have when I'm not in this every day. I mean, I will tell people what's going on, but I'm glad I'm not a part of it.
I've said that to Joe before. If I had to do that, bless you all that drive in rush hour traffic every morning and every afternoon. If I had to do that every day, I would lose my marbles. I could not every day be in that I-4 bananas.
Nope.
I'd lose it.
Yeah, and flying over it, you feel the same way too. You're all, man, you're flying over it, looking at all this stuff's going. I'm glad I'm not in the middle of that. I'm, over top of it reporting it. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to get through that. But once you're you just put it in your brain that this is the way it is. You're going to be in traffic. You got to put up with it. And remember, I came from Southern California, which is a lot worse than this even.
Yeah, I can. That's what I always think when I think about traffic. I think about people like in LA or whatever, where you see just the gridlock for like 5 lanes.
The
completely
gridlocks that you see through Champions Gate is a 2:00 p.m. commute anywhere in Southern California. It's just stupid.
That's ridiculous. Yikes.
Orlando's news and talk. Cash in on our 100th anniversary with the WDBO payroll payout. Your next chance at $1,000 happens tomorrow at 8 a.m. Listen for the keyword and then tap the payroll payout button in the WDBO app. It's our way of saying thank you for 100 incredible years.
I don't want to name names, but somebody went really long in that last segment, so we're really short in this segment. We'll continue the Joe Kelley Show coming up. Stay with us.
WDBO.
WDBO.
Good afternoon, 5:30 here at WDBO. Our top story, Israel has begun investigating a deadly airstrike in southern Gaza that happened over the weekend. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller says the Biden administration mourns the loss of civilians in the attack and calls for Israel to pursue long-term peace, not just victory over Hamas.
In addition to a military plan, Israel needs to have a political plan for the day after.
Israel claims they used small-sized munitions in their attack and says the fires after the attack may have been triggered by fuel tanks or stored Hamas weapons hit by the Israel munitions. Israel says the attack was targeting Hamas. Well, a late-night host posts news about his son's surgery.
Jimmy Kimmel's 7-year-old son, Billy, underwent his third open heart surgery over the weekend at Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. Kimmel revealed the news on his Instagram with a photo of his son. He captioned it, writing in part, "Our boy Billy had his third of 3, we hope, open heart surgeries. We went into this experience with a lot of optimism and nearly as much fear and came out with a new valve inside a happy, healthy kid." He went on to thank the doctors, nurses, and staff of the hospital and the many people, including the parents that he met, walking around the hospital. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
Well, your next chance to win the WDBO payroll payout of $1,000 happening tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Just listen for the payroll payout keyword for your chance to win. It is the last week we're doing the payroll payout, so make sure you're listening in. 5:32 here at WDBO. So I pulled up to work today and I'm like, my glasses are filthy. And I took them off and I started cleaning my lenses, and the darn lens popped right out of my eyeglasses. And I'm blind as a bat. And I'm like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble because I can't see anything. Thank goodness I keep a pair of contacts in my purse, which is why I don't have my glasses on today. Normally, I only wear contacts for like special occasions. In my 20s, I wore them every day of my life. And then I got hit my 30s and I'm like, they're expensive. They're hurting my eyes. I'm only going to wear them for special occasions. Yeah. Well, the special occasion today was I broke my darn glasses. So that's how my day started. Thankfully, my husband wears glasses. My daughter wears glasses. So we've got eyeglass repair kits at the house. And my dad is a retired optometrist. So I'm like, really? Really? You had to wait until I got all the way to work to break glasses? Thanks.
Services.
We're still tracking a couple of isolated thunderstorms that will break up as we head closer to sunset tonight. Temperatures will rebound with sunshine returning on Wednesday. A dry day tomorrow, 96 degrees, and it's going to be hot. Thursday, an isolated shower, high 94, and then temperatures actually will steady down into the upper 80s to near 90 from Friday into the weekend with scattered afternoon thunderstorms returning. From Channel 9, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tom Terry.
Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Seeing some heavy delays here into downtown, I-4 westbound from Parr and I-4 eastbound from just about Cayley. You're on and off the brakes all the way to Lee Road. And then as you're making your way into Volusia County, just about Lake Mary Boulevard up to the bridge. I-4 westbound, they still have that wreck just, south or west, looking at the roadway west of Saxon, which means that there's going to be a backup there all the way up to about Orange City or Casadega. This report sponsored by Early Learning Coalition of Osceola County. Want to give your child a learning experience? The voluntary pre-kindergarten program is your answer. It's available at no cost to any 4-year-old child residing in the state of Florida. Visit elcosceola.org. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Connected to our community. Talk local issues and events with Joe Kelley. Use the open mic in the WDBO app and let Joe know what interests you. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
So within the last hour, an F-35 fighter jet, this is an $80 million advanced fighter jet, crashed on takeoff from the airport in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So that happened within the last hour. The pilot, we're told, it's a single-seat fighter jet. The pilot, we're told, ejected, was taken to a local hospital with minor injuries. And then within the last 30 minutes, 20 minutes actually, a Chase Bank building in downtown Youngstown, Ohio, BTFU, blew up. And they think it was a natural gas leak that they were not aware that there was a gas leak in the building. And man, these houses and buildings, when they blow up from a gas leak, it is right like a scene from a Hollywood movie. And I mean, it just blows up. And we've got video, there was a camera across the street that caught the blow up, the explosion there in Youngstown, Ohio. If you want to be able to see, we were just discussing this earlier in the break room, actually. Because Disney Springs has started their new nightly drone show that's going to run through the summer. And one of us, and I think it was me, said, drones are the new fireworks. And then someone else, and I think it was Greg, said, yeah, but people like fireworks because it's explosions. And I'm like, yeah, explosions are really cool. So if you want to see the explosion of this bank building, we've got it in this story in the WDBO app. And if you want to see the aftermath, I don't have the F-35 crashing on video, but I do have the aftermath of the F-35 crash on video. And if you want to see that video, you can check that out also in that story in the WDBO app. If you're just tuning in, I mentioned in the last segment or 2 segments ago that my sweet Ronnie Sue and I are with child. We're expecting a child. No, not that way. Adopting. We're adopting a 13-year-old girl from the state foster care system, but she won't be in our home probably for another 6 months or longer. And here.
Congratulations to you both on your anniversary.
Thank you.
I wanted to say I'm 63 years old, and I was one of those kids that aged out in a group home. I had a horrible family, and I was in and out of group homes most of my life. Thank you for doing that and giving her a family that she needs. God bless you.
God has blessed us, and I appreciate that, and I'm so sorry that you aged out of a group home and didn't find that forever family, and it breaks my heart. And I'll tell you, and again, I have no confusion whatsoever about this. I know it's going to be difficult. Believe me, it was very difficult for our first adopted child. And I know it's going to be difficult this time. It's going to be difficult for her. It's going to be difficult for us. But I truly believe that this is the path that God put us on. I mean, this because life was pretty easy. Life was going along pretty well, and then suddenly God said, "Hey, you need to be a part of this mission of helping orphans." And so we're going to start with one. We're start with. I'm so thoroughly convinced, though. I mean, to talk about softening of my heart. I went full circle on this one because this is a terrible idea, to love this idea, to let's do more. Let's adopt more children. Let's make that, part of our life goal in our older years. I don't want to say old years, but in our older years, in the second halves of our lives, that, I think that's something to do. President Biden over the weekend was giving the commencement address at West Point. West Point is that's the Army's academy, right? That's the Army's academy, West Point. Yeah. Let's see. So here's President Biden. And by the way, the story that President Biden is about to tell, that I'm going to play for you here, is 100% a lie. It has been 100% debunked, and he has 100% repeated this lie on multiple occasions. Imagine you get invited. I mean, the president always gets invited to speak at the military academies, but you're standing there before the brightest minds of young men and women, and you're lying to them about what would be your military record, sort of. Here's Joe Biden.
Hypothetically, I was appointed by the fellow I ran against when I was 29 years old to the Naval Academy. I was one of 10. I wanted to play football. And the day I was supposed to go down for the interview, a classmate of mine who was also one of the 10 appointed to be chosen from, named Steve Dunning, came to pick me up. And I had found out 2 days earlier they had a quarterback named Roger Staubach and a halfback named Joe Bellino. I said, "Oh, I'm not going there." I went to Delaware. Not a joke.
Not a joke, but it is a lie. It's a lie. And I don't even know where to begin with his lies and how he inserts himself into situations that he knows, at least he should know, maybe in his feeble and mushy mind, he cannot separate reality from fiction. He might just think that was a true story. But with regards to Roger Staubach and Joe Bellino, they weren't the year that Biden is referencing. Staubach was already gone from the Naval Academy, and Bellino was gone years before. So even on its facts, the years don't align. It's not true. It didn't happen. But that won't stop Joe Biden from telling the story. Joe Biden also, by the way, this, right now in Los Angeles, Hunter Biden is about to go on trial for lying on a document in which he bought a gun. He lied that he wasn't abusing drugs when it's clearly documented that he was using drugs. The star witness for this trial is going to be Hallie Biden. Hallie Biden is the widow of Beau Biden. Hunter Biden's brother and Joe Biden's son. Hallie Biden, after Beau Biden died, dated Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden dated his brother's widow. And he did it while he was coked up and buying guns. It was Hallie Biden who found the gun that Hunter Biden bought, and she disposed of it in a public dumpster in 2018. She threw the gun in a dumpster. which is terrible when it comes to gun safety. So miraculously, President Biden makes a surprise visit to the Delaware home of Haley Biden Sunday, the day before yesterday, just before she is due to serve as one of the most important witnesses at Hunter Biden's federal trial for gun crimes. Now, Biden says he stopped by the house around 8 p.m. for a brief private talk because it was approaching the 9-year anniversary of Beau Biden's death. And that's all they talked about. They didn't talk about the upcoming trial. Oh, right. Right. The first son faces the possibility of prison time in the first of 2 scheduled criminal trials. I don't know about you, but I don't. Joe Biden is a known liar. I mean, he lied about the Naval Academy story. And for him to say that he went to Haley Biden's house on the eve of Hunter Biden's trial, he goes to the house of the star witness and says he's just there to talk about Beau Biden. You know, if I would love to see this record. If there is a history, a record of Joe Biden visiting Haley Biden every year on Beau Biden's death anniversary, that might be a little bit more believable. I don't know if such a record exists. I don't know if that is a pattern. But the Biden people, heaven knows you couldn't trust them to accurately produce whether or not this is a ritual for Joe Biden or if it's not a ritual for Joe Biden. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. Coming up at the top of the hour, it took us a while to edit this. Coming up at the top of the hour, we're gonna visit with the raging bull, Robert De Niro. We're gonna play some of the audio from him today in New York City at the site of the Trump trial. There as part of the Biden campaign. It was a Biden campaign speech that was sponsored by the Biden campaign. You'll hear that coming up at 6.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Start off on I-4 westbound in Volusia County, a multi-vehicle crash I-4 westbound after Saxon. Now, it's all on the right shoulder, but causing a lot of delays through Deltona as you're making your way into Seminole County. More delays into downtown I-4 westbound starting around Parr. They carry on to the 408 eastbound, and then your tired foot is going to be pushing that brake all the way on the 408 eastbound to past 436 near Goldenrod is when you're going to find a little bit of relief there. We also have a crash 434 eastbound at Parkstone Boulevard with the left lane blocked. ProTech Air Conditioning and Plumbing Service for honesty, integrity, and 100% customer satisfaction. Call ProTech 407-502-6263 or visit protechac.com. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Congratulations to Mary for winning the WDBO payroll payout of $1,000.
Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
Download that WDBO app now so you don't miss your next chance of getting on the payroll payout tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. A family went to the hospital after their black bear meat kebabs gave them parasitic worms. A new CDC report says that in the summer of 2022, a family gathered for a reunion in South Dakota, and one of them brought some black bear meat. Many wildlife experts consider all bear meat to be infected, so thorough cooking is vital. Elon Musk has raised another $6 billion in funding for his artificial intelligence company XAI, putting its valuation at $24 billion. New money came in from Silicon Valley venture capitalists and a Saudi prince. Yeah, Marie, you would have known you won before I said it on air. Because they call ya, they tell ya, You say, yay, 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 and then they send the audio to me so I can play it on air. So you would have known.
For 100 years, we've been your voice, your source, your heartbeat. From the roaring 20s to the digital age, we've been there for it all. Happy 100th anniversary, WDBO, where history and headlines meet.
So when I first saw this headline, I misread it. You ever just misread something? And I thought it said Randy Quaid, the actor Randy Quaid, has made an announcement about who he's voting for. Well, Randy Quaid he's nutty butters. That guy needs mental help. But it's not Randy Quaid. It's his brother Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid is the bright one. Dennis Quaid is the actor that you've seen in 1,000 different movies. I love Dennis Quaid. And so he was on with Piers Morgan just a short time ago and basically endorsed Donald Trump.
What do you think of Trump?
I think I'm going to vote for him.
Really?
Yeah, in the next election. Yes, I am.
Are you ready for the blowback?
Well, yeah.
Which inevitably comes with Trump.
I think this election, everybody's got to, I think they're going to take a side or whatever, but it just seems to me, it just makes sense. I was ready not to vote for Trump until what I saw is more than politics, I see a weaponization of our justice system.
Yeah.
And a challenge to our Constitution, us as Americans, that I don't think we're going to have. And, Trump is the most investigated person probably in the history of the world. And they haven't been able to really get him. People might call him an asshole.
I caught that just in time. So that's one of those words we do not say on the radio. So he says, people may call him an a-hole, but he's my a-hole. And that's how Dennis Quaid ends that segment. But how interesting. So Dennis Quaid, for what it's worth, has not been in a lot of blockbuster movies as of late. In fact, as of late, he's been doing Christian movies. And I feel like when an actor starts doing Christian movies, something has happened either in that actor's life or in that actor's heart that has changed, that has caused him to want to do Christian movies. You don't get paid as much to work in Christian film as you would in regular blockbuster movies. So I frankly am glad to see an actor of his caliber doing Christian films. But I wonder if he's had a falling out with Hollywood so that he's doing Christian films. And honestly, endorsing Donald Trump won't bode well for him with liberal Hollywood, with the liberal elites like, hang on, my wife just sent me the story. People Magazine, Dennis Quaid says faith saved him after addictions. There you go. So it was a change in his heart more so than a change in Hollywood. So that's good. Thank you, sweetie. Appreciate that. Happy anniversary. Yes, that's it. Okay, so coming up next, the other side of Hollywood, the people that haven't been saved. Robert De Niro. Man, this guy's a mess. This guy's a real mess. I will tell you, it took a lot of very creative editing for this audio. You're going to hear Robert De Niro because of all the cussing. And it wasn't De Niro cussing. It was everybody in New York cussing at Robert De Niro. Hang on. You're going to hear part of it coming up next. Stay with us here on The Joe Kelley Show.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Got a crash I-4 eastbound before 1792. It's on the bridge and on the right shoulder. Multi-vehicle crash I-4 westbound after Saxon. Everything on the right shoulder but causing delays there. Got a crash on 434 eastbound at Parkstone Boulevard and a wreck 436 westbound at Francis Drive with 2 right lanes blocked. This report sponsored by Fresh from Florida. The best part of summer is already here. Locally grown Fresh from Florida watermelon. Fresh from Florida. There's sunshine in every bite. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Good evening, 6:01 here at WDBO. Our top story, images from the aftermath of the weekend's Israeli strike on Rafah that ended with the death of dozens of Palestinians are horrific and heartbreaking, says National Security spokesman John Kirby. He says the White House is working with Israeli authorities to determine exactly what happened.
We have been, I think, very strident in our condemnations about the deaths of innocent civilians. These deaths are not excused from that. But we have to understand what happened here.
Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez, who represents Uvalde, Texas, was one of a few congressional Republicans who supported the 2022 bipartisan gun law. Tonight, he's facing a primary challenger.
Gonzalez's challenger is a 28-year-old pro-gun YouTuber, Brandon Herrera, whose channel goes by the name The AK Guy. He's targeting Gonzalez over the GOP lawmakers' stand in the wake of the Uvalde school massacre, when he and a handful of Republicans voted for the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, a bill created by congressional Republicans and Democrats in the wake of that shooting. The tense campaign coming to a head tonight when voters go to the polls for a runoff, triggered because neither candidate got 50% of the vote in the March primary. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, Washington.
Your next chance to win the WDBO payroll payout of $1,000 happening tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Just listen in for that payroll payout keyword and you could win. It's our last week of doing the payroll payout keyword, so make sure you're listening in and trying to win that $1,000. 6:02 here at WDBO. Oh, really, Frank? Is he intelligent? When I hear 18-year-old YouTuber, immediately I'm like, no, nope, we're not having an 18-year-old YouTuber as a politician. Now, that said, I'm sure the next 40 years of politicians will have at one point been an 18-year-old YouTuber, right? Kids these days, what kid isn't a YouTuber these days, right? And if they grow up to be politicians in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, well, that's inevitable, isn't it? But right now, when he's 18, I don't know that I trust an 18-year-old as a politician. Unless he's outstandingly smart. Some of them are. Oh, is he 28? Hold on. I thought that said 18. Hold on. I'll go back and listen to it. Oh, it is 28. I was only half listening. 28's a little better. A little better. Not a ton, but a little better. So you're right. Okay. Better than 18 for sure, though.
With scattered afternoon thunderstorms returning. From Channel 9, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tom Terry.
Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Well, they have finally cleared up those crashes on I-4, one of them westbound after Saxon as you're making your way into Seminole County, and the other one on I-4 eastbound. That was at 1792. Everything was on the right shoulder on the bridge, but causing a lot of backup through there. But again, those are all better now, but still seeing some delays. At least all the lanes are open. Into downtown, we still have brake lights. I-4 westbound starting around Parr. They continue onto the 408 eastbound ramp, and now the delays are already to, Goldenrod at this point, so it's just getting a little bit worse there. ProTech Air Conditioning and Plumbing Service, For honesty, integrity, and 100% customer satisfaction, call ProTech 407-502-6263 or visit protechac.com. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Insightful.
You tell the truth from your point of view.
Entertaining.
Man, that guy is a lot taller than he sounds on the radio.
And engaging.
When we hear you on the radio, it's a good thing.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
Actor Robert De Niro has gone full TDR, Trump derangement syndrome. Man, you never go full TDR. But De Niro has gone full TDR, making an appearance on behalf of the Biden campaign. So the Biden campaign, in their official documents, the official websites and official letterheads, and they made the announcement today that the Biden campaign is holding an urgent press conference at the Trump trial. Their expert that was going to be speaking was Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro shows up wearing a COVID mask. He's the only person visible in any of these videos wearing a COVID mask, and he is surrounded by heavily armed personal security. He's there with a Biden campaign spokesperson and two of the former Capitol police officers. Ostensibly, he was there to speak ill of Donald Trump and then to introduce the two former Capitol police officers who are also on the Biden campaign now. So Robert De Niro's on the Biden campaign. He has officially voiced a Biden campaign ad and is now engaging in speaking events. And De Niro was heckled unmercifully today outside the Trump trial. The heckling was so bad. It was very personal in nature. It was very obscene in nature. And when I first heard it, I thought, there's no point in even listening to this because there are so many cuss words. I will never be able to play this on the radio. So Greg Rhodes, a producer, and I talked about it. We're like, well, there are a couple of programs, like software programs, that we could use that strips out background noise and it focuses on the voice of the speaker. We put it through a couple of those to varying degrees of success. So the audio that you're going to hear, we have edited for time because there's a lot of pauses here. And Robert De Niro was incredibly distracted by the protesters. He was incredibly thrown off his game. He is used to being the center of attention, Robert De Niro is, and he was not the center of attention. I mean, in Robert De Niro's world, Robert De Niro is the alpha and the omega. He's everything. And he was just stopped in his tracks because people were shouting him down and they were chanting, the FJB chant and a bunch of other, chants that we can't play on the radio. And like I said, we tried to bleep them, tried to edit them. So this audio is going to...
I'm very nervous about this audio edit.
Yeah. So I edited shorter what you gave me, Greg. So this is even shorter than what you gave me. So listen to this guy. The audio quality is going to be a little hinky only because we tried to strip all background audio from it so there wouldn't be any cussing on the radio. But just listen to how entirely unhinged Robert De Niro is. And he's got notes and so he's trying to read. Again, he's reading he's an actor. He's reading other people's words. Heaven knows who wrote the notes that he has, but he's trying to read from these notes, but he keeps getting distracted by all the hecklers.
I mean, this is really, even these people over here, it's kind of crazy. It's really crazy. And this thing, Donald Trump has created this. He should be telling them not to do this. But he wants to sow total chaos, which he's succeeding in some areas and places to do. This is my neighborhood, downtown New York City. I grew up here and feel at home in these streets. I feel comfortable. The Twin Towers fell just over here, just over there.
when he pointed, the Twin Towers fell just over here. Then he says, just over there. He pointed to a different location. I don't think he knew where I'm not doubting the guy who knows New York, but I think he was turned around because he says the Twin Towers fell over here and he motions kind of forward. And then he says, they fell over there and he motions off to the side.
The city was like a ghost town, but we vowed we would not allow terrorists to change our way of life. I love this city. I don't want to destroy it. Donald Trump wants to destroy not only the city, but the country. And eventually he could destroy the world. And that's why it's so weird that Donald Trump is just across the street, because he doesn't belong in my city.
He doesn't belong in my city. What an arrogant jerk this guy is.
I don't know where he belongs, but he certainly doesn't belong here. We New Yorkers used to tolerate him when he was just another grubby real estate hustler masquerading as a big shot. A two-bit playboy lying his way into the tabloids. But this city is pretty accommodating. We make room for clowns. We have them all over the city. People who do crazy things in the street, we tolerate it. It's part of the city. It's part of the culture. But not a person like Trump who will eventually run the country. That does not work, and we all know that.
That does not work, and we all know that. No, we don't all know that. And for a lot of us, it does actually work. De Niro's 80 years old, and Donald Trump lives 100% rent-free inside that 80-year-old man's head.
Anyway, we make room for clowns to each his own, but no one takes him or took him really seriously. They take him seriously now, of course. But around the country, people who didn't know him as we did started to support him. Evangelicals to applaud a sinner who bragged about sexual assault. And just a couple of blocks from here, a jury found him liable for sexual abuse. Self-styled patriots to support a man who called for terminating the Constitution. And on January 6th, rallied an angry mob to threaten democracy, leaving death and destruction in its wake. That's why I needed to be involved and wanted to be involved in the new Biden-Harris ad, because it shows the violence of Trump and reminds us that he'll use violence against anyone who stands in the way of his megalomania and greed. But it's a coward's violence. You think Trump ever threw a punch himself or took one? This guy who ran and hid in the White House bunker when there were protesters outside? No way. He doesn't get blood on his hands. No, he doesn't. He directs the mob to do his dirty work for him by making a suggestion, an inference. And his gang grovels and follows his obvious order. It's no surprise that the murder rate and other violent crimes peaked under Trump and are falling under Biden. And
so that is an absolute bald-faced lie. The murder and crime rates have gone up under Biden, and we're down under Trump. Robert De Niro is either deliberately lying or he's deliberately ignorant. The Biden campaign, the Biden White House, has changed how states and municipalities report crimes to the FBI. And now there aren't requirements that local municipalities have to issue crime reports to the FBI to collate all the data. And so it's easy to say that crime is down when in actuality, the reporting of crime is down under Biden. If you don't report crime, if you don't report it to the FBI, then it gives the appearance that crime is down. But that is an absolute lie.
now he's promising to use our own military to attack U.S. citizens.
That is also a lie. He has not promised to use our military to attack U.S. citizens. He has pondered sending National Guard troops into violent cities like Chicago to quell the violence there. But as Robert De Niro states it, the Trump derangement syndrome has infected his brain, and he either is deliberately lying or is deliberately ignorant.
That's the tyrant. That's the tyrant he's telling us he'll be. And believe me, he means it. When Trump ran in 2016, it was like a joke. This buffoon running for president. No, never could happen. We'd forgotten the lessons of history that showed us other clowns who weren't taken seriously until they became vicious dictators. With Trump, we have a second chance, and no one is laughing now. This is the time to stop him by voting him out once and for all. We don't want to wake up after the election saying, what, again? My God, what the hell have we done? We
Good
can't
acting.
have that happen again.
Really good acting.
Yesterday was Memorial Day. It's a good time to reflect on how Americans fought and died so that we may enjoy the freedoms guaranteed to us by a democratic government. A government that, as President Lincoln said, of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye that we all take for granted. And elections, forget about it. That's over. That's done.
What is he even talking about? He's so deranged. He is so infected with Trump derangement syndrome that he's just throwing out anything that he thinks that could hurt Donald Trump. He has given up any pretenses of being an actor. And it's going to be sad for Robert De Niro because Trump's going to win. And Robert De Niro is going to be on record as having said all these things about the president, about Donald Trump, and alienated half of the United States. His acting career, I don't know where he goes from here now that he has alienated at least half of the United States.
If he gets in, I can tell you right now, he will never leave. He will never leave. You know that. He will never leave.
It is such a lie. This is a lie that the Democrats and the left are perpetrating out there about Donald Trump, saying that he will never leave. And the most obvious proof of that was that when he lost the re-election, he left. Yeah, he left begrudgingly. He left in a lousy manner. He didn't go to the inauguration of Joe Biden. He didn't leave under good terms, but he left. There was a peaceful transfer of power. He left. There is no evidence, none whatsoever, that if Donald Trump is elected again at the end of 4 years, that he's not going to leave. At the end of 4 years, he'll leave. Guaranteed, he will leave. And Robert De Niro is lying.
What does that mean? Is that the country we want to live in? Do we want him running this country and saying, I'm not leaving? I'm
And then the car alarm starts. So again, there's cussing throughout the entire speech. And then the car alarm goes off. And then there is and I don't know if he was a reporter or just a dude in the crowd, but someone kind of heckles something that Robert De Niro, because De Niro is going to introduce the two former Capitol Police officers, at least one of whom it's pretty well established that he lied under oath to the United States Congress. He lied under oath when he was testifying about the events of January 6th. He gave testimony that a certain group and certain people were at a certain place during a certain time, but video evidence that it was released after that has completely contradicted what the officer said. And Robert De Niro gets called out by this guy in the crowd about that these guys lied under oath, and De Niro doesn't have the slightest idea how to handle it. Hang on, I'll play that part of it for you coming up after this. Stay with us here. You're listening to the Joe Kelley Show as we unpack the lunacy, the derangement of Robert De Niro, who's gone full TDR. Man, you never go full TDR. That'll continue. Stay with us here on the Joe Kelley Show.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Got a crash I-4 eastbound after Maitland Boulevard. Looks like the left lane was blocked, but they have just opened it back up. You still have delays now starting, all the way through downtown, on and off the brakes to this point at Maitland Boulevard. A crash also on the Turnpike northbound on the exit ramp to Hancock. You got a right lane blocked there. The 408 eastbound out of downtown looking a lot better now than it was just 10 minutes ago. We do have a little bit of slowing as you approach Conway to just past 436. This report sponsored by Fresh from Florida. The best part of summer is already here. Locally grown, fresh from Florida watermelon. Fresh from Florida, there's sunshine in every bite. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
A statement Prince Harry made confirming his relationship with now wife Meghan Markle in 2016 is being deleted from the royal family's website. According to page 6, the statement in question served to criticize the UK press for their harsh treatment of Markle and publicly confirm the pair's blossoming relationship all in one swoop. A burn ban is in effect across Polk County. Fire rescue officials issued the order earlier today due to a lack of rainfall and ongoing dry conditions. People aren't allowed to ignite bonfires, yard waste, or fireworks because of an increased brush fire risk. There are plans to bring another Nickelodeon hotel and resort to Florida. Lion Star and Paramount say they're building the development in Kissimmee. The hotel will feature Nickelodeon franchises like SpongeBob SquarePants and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, I was excited when I heard about that Nickelodeon hotel. I remember it back in the day. We went like once, and I did like the behind the scenes slime tour, and that was super cool. And I was really bummed when they took it down. They took it down before we moved here. I guess they're bringing it back. Pretty cool. Zaxby chicken fingers. Yum. Yeah, Colin and Greg have had engineers in their studio today trying to figure stuff out. So that's why they're not on the camera today. But they're here. Still on the show. Yeah, Paul, I think I heard that too. They filmed some Nick shows there. It's exciting. Hopefully it goes through. I always get suspicious when I hear news like that. I'm like, okay, I'll see it when they build it, right? Because they said, we're doing it. And then 5 years go by and you never hear anything about it ever again. So hopefully it's not one of those things. Smoked ribs, coleslaw, potato salad, corn on the cob. Yum. Making me hungry. All I have is gummy worms. And only one left. Ooh, I've never even heard of that, Joshua. That sounds good, too. We're having leftovers, but I don't mind this time because it's my favorite dish ever. I'm a simple girl. Angel hair, butter, garlic, mushrooms. Oh, my husband makes that pasta. It's so good. It's so good. And he made it for me last night, and we're having leftovers of it. And I am so excited. I'm going to try not to speed home because I want it so much. So good. Did anybody do anything fun for Memorial Day weekend? We didn't do. We went and costumed at the Tampa Bay Rays game, which was fun. And then we have a friend that lives in Sarasota, and my husband really wanted to go to the shooting range with him. So we stayed in Sarasota, and I visited St. Armand's. Never been there before. That was fun.
Kelly, when I need to fully understand what's happening in the news.
Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's News and Talk, WDBO.
All right, if you're just joining us, we're unpacking Robert De Niro's unhinged lunatic rantings today in front of the Trump courthouse. Of course not. That's not what the courthouse is called, but the courthouse where Donald Trump is being tried in New York. And Robert De Niro just absolutely goes full TDR.
Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait. Maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye that we all take for granted. And elections, forget about it. That's over. That's done. If he gets in, I can tell you right now, he will never leave. He will never leave. You know that. He will never leave. What does that mean? Is that the country we want to live in? Do we want him running this country and saying, I'm not leaving, I'm dictator for life? I hope this new ad campaign reaches outside the bubble to remind supporters of what a danger he is to our lives. This is not a threat. This is a reality. And that's why I've joined the Biden-Harris campaign, because the only way to preserve our freedoms and hold on to our humanity is to vote for Joe Biden for president. Really, we don't have a choice. On January 6th, while Republican lawmakers despicably tried to keep the loser Trump in the White House, and Trump-inspired insurrectionists stormed the Capitol, brave men and women from law enforcement put their lives on the line to defend this country.
So this is where he is starting to introduce the former Capitol police officers that are there with him, and someone in the audience refers to them as having lied under oath, which there is great evidence that that at least one of the officers that is there did actually lie under oath. And De Niro's already off his game. He's off his game because of the heckling in his circles. He is not accustomed to being heckled, and he blames Donald Trump for being heckled. He is thrown off his game because of the car horn, the car alarm that keeps going off. And then when this guy, and he's standing there, well, he looks like he could be a reporter, but if he's a reporter, he's not from the mainstream media. He's going to be from, one of the websites or something like that. But this reporter or this dude asks him, makes reference to these Capitol police officers having lied under oath. And clearly, Robert De Niro has no idea what he's talking about, because Robert De Niro is ill-informed.
Our democracy. They are the true heroes. These guys are the true heroes. They stood and put their lives on the line for these low lives, for Trump. They lied under oath. Who lied under oath? What are you telling me? Excuse me? They lied under oath? What are you saying? I don't know. I don't even know how to deal with you, my friend.
See, it's funny. De Niro says, I don't even know how to deal with you, my friend. That's probably the first honest thing that De Niro has said in this entire speech. I don't know how to deal with you, because he clearly does not know how to deal with this guy.
I don't even know how to deal with it. They stood there and there were other ones in there who probably were in with them a little bit too. And
that's it. And then at that point, he introduces the two Capitol police officers. They come up and then they give a speech, which similarly, they are heckled, not unlike De Niro was. But I think De Niro got the brunt of the heckling. It was absolutely brutal. Couldn't play the audio for you because there's just so many foul words in it. I could not possibly have played it all for you.
Right. No, I appreciated the honking horn near the end of that, because it made my job a little bit easier for the background cursing.
Yeah, because at least that covered up some of the cursing there, I would imagine. So, all right, the Joe Kelley Show continues. You can share your take. Hit us up in the open mic in the WDBO app, or call 844-580-WDBO.
This is WDBO.
WDBO.
Good evening, 6:30 here at WDBO. Our top story, no civilian casualty should be acceptable, says National Security spokesperson John Kirby of Israel's weekend strike in Rafah, where dozens of Palestinians were killed. Kirby says the White House is working with Israeli authorities to determine exactly what happened.
The Israeli Defense Forces today released initial findings that point to the fire being caused by a secondary explosion, not the initial strike.
Well, the boss is having trouble with his voice.
Bruce Springsteen is postponing several shows during his world tour due to a vocal issue. In a statement on social media yesterday, his team said he made the decision over the weekend on the advice of his doctor. The boss does plan to reschedule those shows in France, Italy, and the Czech Republic at a later date. Springsteen and the E Street Band are in the middle of a world tour that includes stops in the U.S. and Europe. The 74-year-old was forced to halt his tour last fall while being treated for a peptic ulcer. Steve Greenfield, NBC News Radio.
Emergency crews are responding to a military air crash in New Mexico. Officials say the crash occurred near the Albuquerque International Sunport this afternoon. The plane went down outside of the airfield on the south side of the airport. The pilot is reportedly conscious and has been taken to a hospital for treatment. Operations have since resumed at that airport. Your next chance to win the WDBO payroll payout is happening tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Just listen in for the keyword then for your chance at winning $1,000. 6:32 here at WDBO. Well, Frank, was meeting your girlfriend's dad fun or was it scary? Because you have to tell us. That could be fun or it could be intimidating or both. I guess it could be both. Karen, I saw your daughter got engaged, your granddaughter. Congratulations. That's exciting. Yeah, folks up from St. Cloud for a cookout. I love cookouts. Marla, I was at the one they lost. The one that was really, really close. The one on Saturday. It was close. What was really cool is they gave us I don't know if it's a box exactly, but they gave us this big room to change in and they fed us. They always treat us so kind there. So shout out to the Tampa Bay Rays because they're awesome. They fed us, they gave us this big room to change in, and then when everybody was changed and out of costume, they rolled up the door gate things and we could see out in the field. So we got to sit in our room and munch on our chicken fingers and watch the game. And that was really, really neat. So that was a lot of fun. Oh yeah. Our company is going to the Tampa Bay Rays on Thursday for a company-wide field trip. I am not going because pregnant lady doesn't want to be on a bus for a long time because I'm going to have to pee. And frankly, everybody's going to be having beers and stuff, and I can't do that. So, I love my coworkers, but I'm like, you know what? It sounds like it's logistically going to be a little more difficult for me to get there today or get to a baseball game, I mean. So I think I'll stay. But that's a fun thing our company's doing. Greg goes on every sports field trip. Yes, I'm sure Greg does. Yeah, we went to a baseball game last year too, and I didn't go to that either for different reasons. And I was bummed. I was like, "Oh, that looks like a lot of fun." So it came up again, and I'm like, "Maybe." And then I'm like, "Nah, never mind." Not when I have to pee every 20 minutes. We're not getting on a 2-hour bus ride. That's all right. I'll make it to one eventually. Joshua, I don't know anything about that. So, yeah, that might be for Clear Channel or something along those lines. Live games are fun. I don't know that I would sit and watch a baseball game on TV, but going to one, the atmosphere is a ton of fun. You're right. Hot dog in hand or popcorn or whatever. That's a good time.
We're still tracking a couple of isolated thunderstorms that will break up as we head closer to sunset tonight. Temperatures will rebound with sunshine returning on Wednesday. A dry day tomorrow, 96 degrees, and it's going to be hot. Thursday, an isolated shower, high 94, and then temperatures actually will steady down into the upper 80s to near 90 from Friday into the weekend with scattered afternoon thunderstorms returning. From Channel 9, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tom Terry.
Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
And just like that, we're back up to speed through downtown on I-4 and the 408. 408 eastbound also moving very nicely all the way through Conway, Azalea Park, and all the way to the 417. We still have some brake lights on I-4 westbound before and after 528, and then from just about Osceola Parkway into Champions Gate. We still have that crash on the Turnpike northbound on the exit ramp to Hancock. You got a right lane blocked there. This report sponsored by Amtrak. No one does summer travel like Amtrak. That's because now more kids ages 2 to 12 ride for 50% off this summer. Look now and book now at Amtrak.com. Restrictions apply. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and all of Central Florida. Join the conversation now by using the open mic in the WDBO app. Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's news and talk, WDBO.
Did you guys hear about the 3 children that were struck by lightning on a beach in Puerto Rico? 3 kids, they are age 7, 10, and 12, were struck by lightning. I didn't realize that there was video of it. And it's difficult to watch. It sounded like a gunshot. I mean, that was it. And it was just, it looked like a gunshot. 3 kids are kind of huddled around one another. It doesn't even look like it's raining. It's kind of overcast, but I don't even think it's raining. And then just like a gunshot, this lightning hits the 3 of them. They're kind of huddled together, like I said, in a group. And then as soon as that gunshot of a lightning bolt hits them, all 3 of them fall straight backwards. I will tell you that first of all 3 kids have survived. One is more injured than the other 2. The video is difficult to watch if you want to see it. And the only reason why I posted this video is because Central Florida is the lightning strike capital of the world. More people get hit by lightning strikes in Central Florida than anywhere else in the world. And this should be a warning to the dangers of being out on the beach when you're anywhere near lightning or storm activity. Though in the video, it's hard to see that there was any kind of storm activity, but just you'll find the story in the WDBO app. And man, prayers for those kids that they make a full recovery. I had a friend of mine. In fact, he was one of my radio station general managers. Was struck by lightning once out on a golf course, and he obviously survived, but he showed me his fingertips. It's not like it's hard to see someone's fingertips, and he had little star pattern scars on each of his fingertips from where the lightning came out of him. And he assured me, and I assured him I didn't want to see it, but he assured me that he has them on his toes also. I'm like, yeah, you know what? You can keep your shoes on. I don't want to see your toes. but he survived that. And to the best of my knowledge, not with any kind of superpowers. I mean, if you're going to get struck by lightning, at the very least, you're going to want some, the Flash level superpowers where you can turn back time or whatever. All right, let's go to Connecticut where Preacher is checking in with us. Hey, Preacher, you're on the Joe Kelley Show. How are you?
Hey, what's happening? The same as By the way, my name's Creature, not Preacher.
Oh, Creature. It says Preacher on my screen. Your name is Creature?
Yeah, I know. Yes, sir.
Is that a nickname?
Yes, sir. I'm a bass player, and they gave that to me. So
That's a great nickname.
thank you.
So what's on your mind?
Well, you guys were talking about De Niro.
Yes.
I want to know what gives De Niro the gumption to think that he is, someone who is an authority on speaking on politics.
That's a great question. That is an absolutely great question, and it makes me wonder the same thing. That he is so surrounded by like-minded people. He clearly doesn't have any friends that are Trump supporters. He doesn't have any friends who are struggling financially. He doesn't have any friends that are afraid of the violence that we have in the United States right now. I mean, he lives in a bubble, and that bubble is an echo chamber, and the only people he has around him are people that echo his very thoughts, right?
Yes, they kiss his ass because they're looking for a handout.
Yeah. Yeah, they tell him what he wants to hear.
Right. And it's like, I don't understand. Like Ben Affleck, I'm sure you've seen him on the Bill Maher show and everything, and he gets so offended by what people say. But what does Ben Affleck know about the Middle East situation? How many hours does he put into researching it and doing his due diligence and looking back 50, 60, 70, 100, 300 years, into the history of these places?
Yeah, I don't think that people like Ben Affleck or Robert De Niro have a more important voice than anybody else. I think their voice is equal to my voice and to your voice, and their thoughts can be equally uninformed as our thoughts can be at times, and they can be wrong-headed about different issues, just like we can be at times. But they are certainly not authorities on these issues. I mean, Robert De Niro is probably an authority on filmmaking and Hollywood, and if he spoke on those topics, I would think that his speaking would have credibility. But for him to speak about Donald Trump, he is not an unbiased source. I mean, he is beyond biased. He is deranged with his bias. Donald Trump lives rent-free in Robert De Niro's head. I mean, he has just gone far, far, far over the top. By the way, I saw a story today and Creature, thank you for your call, man. I appreciate that. I saw a story today out of North Carolina that there's a Confederate statue that people want to have removed now. I thought we were past all the Confederate statues, taking down Confederate statues, period, in our lifetimes. I didn't realize that either A, there were still Confederate statues up that hadn't been taken down yet, or that B, that all the ones that people wanted to have taken down had already been taken down. This one's very interesting, though. So in the small North Carolina county, there's a civic group called the Concerned Citizens of Terrell County, and they filed a lawsuit last week claiming that a monument that sits atop the county courthouse expresses a racially discriminatory message in violation of the 14th Amendment. And the full inscription reads, "In appreciation of our faithful slaves." And it is referred to as the Faithful Slaves Monument. Now, it sits atop the courthouse, so one would imagine that the inscription is on top of the courthouse. So I don't know that people actually read the inscription, but it's a 20-foot tall structure. It's 122 years old, and it features a Confederate soldier standing on a tall pedestal. It was unveiled in 1902, witnessed by a crowd of 3,000 people. But it literally says, "In appreciation of our faithful slaves." That seems an inappropriate statue to have. I'm not a fan of rewriting history, but some of the statues that were built in the South were done to placate angry Southerners who had just lost a war. And so there were efforts made to placate them, to play nice with the South because they're angry. They've just lost. In many cases, they've lost everything, but they certainly have lost a war. And so we, the rest of the United States, agreed at the time to allow them or to honor them with these statues. And a statue in appreciation of our faithful slaves, that's bad form. That statue has no place in America, period. I mean, not even a museum. I mean, that's all right, maybe a museum, but that doesn't have a place on an official courthouse in any county in America. 844-580-WDBO. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. I'm Joe Kelley. You are listening to The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Still looking really good through downtown I-4 and the 408. Also the Turnpike northbound as you make your way into Lake County. That has been cleared up, and that is incident-free now. We do have some brake lights I-4 westbound before the 528, and then from Osceola Parkway into Champions Gate. And we got a broken down vehicle now, I-4 westbound at the 528. That could be the reasoning for those delays. The right lane of the ramp to 528 eastbound is blocked. This report sponsored by Wendy's. Order a Biggie Bag at Wendy's today. When you think of Wendy's Biggie Bag, think your go-to meal deal. Because with your choice of JBC or crispy chicken sandwich, plus 4-piece nugs, junior fries, and a small soft drink, Biggie hits every time. U.S. price and participation may vary. And I've very well just given Joe Kelley an idea on the way home tonight. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
The NHL's Eastern Conference Finals continue tonight with Game 4. The New York Rangers will take on the Florida Panthers. The Rangers hold a 2-1 series lead. A 17-year-old boy is dead. Several others injured after a shooting early Monday in Lansing, Michigan. Police say they showed up downtown a little before 3 a.m. to find a large crowd and multiple shooting victims. At least 7 people between the ages of 15 and 20 were shot. Investigators are trying to figure out the cause of a massive overnight barn fire in Marion County. First responders started battling the fire just after 3 a.m., not far from Price's Scrub State Park. It was able to spread to multiple trees in a nearby shed, but luckily missed a large propane tank in the area.
Talk and discussion on the latest breaking national news.
Crude oil prices continue to fall.
Local news.
You're not going to have Disney have its own government in Central Florida?
And stories that matter to you. Use the open mic in the WDBO app and let your voice be heard on the Joe Kelley Show.
Well, evidently, it's not just De Niro that believes all those things, that if Donald Trump is elected, it'll be the demise of the United States, the end of the United States.
So if this man becomes president again, if he's elected again, which it wouldn't be by the people, but if they somehow manage to get this man in, to keep him alive until he becomes, again, God forbid, then our country is over. Everything that De Niro is saying, that there'll never be another election, that's fact. They will shut her down.
What do you mean that's fact? What do you mean that's fact? There is no fact when you're predicting the future. That's not fact. And the only thing that we can use to predict the future is by looking at the past. And Donald Trump lost re-election. Donald Trump disputed it, ignorantly so. I mean, I think Donald Trump should have been at the inauguration of Joe Biden. Donald Trump to this day denies the election results. But the point is, it's even more profound. The point is that Donald Trump left the White House. Donald Trump, in his mind, in his heart of hearts, believed that he was reelected president of the United States. And yet he still left the White House. So why would you believe that if he's elected again, that at the end of his 4 years, that he's not going to leave the White House? Of course he's going to leave the White House. Of course there's going to be a peaceful transfer of power. And what do you mean if they're able to keep him alive? Are you suggesting that the left is trying to assassinate Donald Trump? What does that even mean if they keep him alive? Yeesh. Yeesh. You can quote me on that. Yeesh. I'm Joe Kelley. Thank you for being a part of the Joe Kelley Show. We'll see you back here tomorrow afternoon, 5 till 7 on WDBO.
Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Well, we're going to finish off the Joe Kelley Show on a good note here. I-4 and the 408 through downtown, perfectly clear and running up to speed. Only seeing some brake lights now. I-4 westbound from Osceola Parkway to just about 429. The Turnpike, 417, and the 528 are all doing well. ProTech Air Conditioning and Plumbing Service for honesty, integrity, and 100% customer satisfaction. Call ProTech 407-502-6263 or visit ProTechAC.com. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Good job, Paul Cross. Good job, Laurel. Good job, Greg and Colin. I don't know if they can hear me in there. They can probably hear me in there. Can they hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Nope, they cannot hear me. All right. I don't think I'm going to go fishing tonight. I think I'm going to go home. Thank you for the congrats on the adoption. I'm very excited about that. Can't wait. Make sure you check out some of those videos. That terrible video of the kids getting struck by lightning. It's kind of hard to watch. Video of the aftermath of that F-35 crash. The pilot's okay. And video of an explosion of a Chase Bank in downtown Youngstown, Ohio, from a gas leak. They have recovered 6 people. They said 1 person is unaccounted for in that explosion. So that is probably a bad sign. Anyhow, sorry to leave you on that. Have a great night. Thanks, everybody in the chat group. We love you guys, and we'll see you back here tomorrow afternoon.